You know the really, really bad teachers. Those have got to go. I had teachers earning $150,000 a year, barely showing up for class, teaching gym, doing nothing, being completely lazy. They're a drain on the school budget, they're a drain on the local community, and they should be fired instantaneously. The problem is, under current teacher tenure laws in certain states, in most states, they're protected by contracts designed by teacher unions that make it nearly impossible to fire bad teachers. If they're not productive, they don't put time in. So I would support reform and a system that allows really good teachers.
You had gym teachers making $150,000 a year?
Hi, so I just wanted to know what your take was on, you said with education to fire the bad teachers. What's your definition of bad teachers?
Great question. So how many people here think you've had at least one teacher that deserves to be fired? Everyone raise their hand.
We've all had one teacher that deserves to be fired. Let's keep it a buck. Let's be 100% honest. It's always that one who you're like, I don't know how you got this job. I don't know how you're here, but whatever.
So the question is, how do you find them, right? So I got this question asked a lot. Here's the interesting thing. So when President Obama was running for president in 2008, one of his big things, he said it over 40 times, was that we need to have a system that rewards good teachers and fires bad ones. But the question is always, how do you find the bad ones? So is it test scores? Probably not. Is it, peer evaluation? The best metric is you have teachers grade teachers and you have parental input. Here's the thing. You know the really, really bad teachers. Those have got to go. I had teachers earning $150,000 a year, barely showing up for class, teaching gym, doing nothing, being completely lazy. They're a drain on the school budget. They're a drain.
You had gym teachers making $150,000 a year? Dang, bro. Like, what was y'all training for? The Olympics in that gym? I never had a gym. I don't know if I had a gym teacher making that much. I don't know. I do know tenured teachers make more money, but Jesus, that is insane.
Drain on the local community, and they should be fired instantaneously. The problem is, under current teacher tenure laws in certain states, in most states, they are protected by contracts designed by teacher unions that make it nearly impossible to fire bad teachers. If they're not productive, they don't put time in. So I would support reform and a system that allows really good teachers. Here's the thing. Some teachers, this might be a surprise to some of my liberal counterparts, so I had public school teachers that changed my life, that did unbelievable amount of work. They got in at 6 a.m. every day. They worked their tail off. Then I had teachers that would take half the year off. They just didn't care. They were bratty. They thought it was horrible. And yet the one that didn't put as much effort was earning more than the person that was just there. That is not the way that we should reward, I believe, teachers in this country. Teachers are modern day heroes. I'm very, very pro-teacher, very anti-teacher union. So I think that's the big distinction. So.
What about professors?
Professors?
Yeah, like college, at the college level.
I believe this similar thing. I think that we currently have a system that rewards professors that want to write their book and sell it back to their class.
Bro, thank you, Charlie Kirk. Thank you. That's all it took from me, bro. That's all it took from me. Yes. I'm tired of this, bro. I'm tired of this because he's making completely good points. Where in any other job that pays a good amount, that's an important job where you can just goof around and just make whatever you want to make. Let's talk about pro sports. If you suck, you're getting fired. You're getting cut from the team. It's really that simple because they keep statistics. They keep numbers. They're like, oh, yeah, your numbers dropped 43% since last year. I don't understand why they don't do the same thing with teachers because you can actually do that with teachers. Say your scores dropped more. Less students passed this math exam than they did last year. Less students are doing well on the SAT than they were last year. But the thing is, it's more important to say that in a school because these are the future. When you look at sports, it's new basketball players every whatever, new football, whatever. But teaching is more important. It's more important, so you should keep a tight leash on teachers. The only reason something like this wouldn't take place is because of a teacher shortage, which we have right now. This doesn't really, you can't really predict the teacher shortage. But if you were more strict on teachers, if you were more serious about our students, the kids in schools, you would fire the bad teachers and you would pay the good teachers more money. By doing this, you would get rid of the teacher shortage because you're actually paying them a livable wage now, and you would get rid of the bad teachers. It's a win-win situation. But these schools don't care about kids. A lot of them don't. They don't. They, instead of paying the teachers an extra $20,000 a year, they will pay the superintendent an extra $200,000 a year. Instead of paying the teacher who is waking up at 6 a.m., clocking out at 6 p.m., some don't even clock out. They answering emails while they at home. Instead of paying them an extra livable wage, oh, when the school's done well, you give them a supervised executive official attendant, whatever the crap, a $100,000 raise. This is a problem, bro.
I think that's it's a fair point. It's also rewards professors that do most studying and not actually engaging with their current class. Here's the problem: is that most college freshmen are taught by TAs, teachers' assistants. So they're getting something. They're paying for something they're not even getting. I think measuring value in a professor should be different than that of a teacher. But here's the big difference: is that public school teachers in K through 12 education have to be held to a different standard than professors. It just has to be. There's more K through 12 teachers than there are professors, a lot more, almost 10-to-1 ratio.
Okay, but with the whole point on the TAs, they're usually doctoral students
Yes.
that are turning into professors. So why is that a problem? How are the TAs supposed to
Because when
become
you start to have class sizes that are 500 people and plus, when you have TAs that are not yet masters on the subject that you're paying a pretty penny on, that deserves question. Because you are going to college to learn from subject matter experts in an environment where you can dive deep into that particular topic, so on and so forth. So if I'm paying or I'm being forced...
And that's facts, bro. Like, you don't have to be... And she did make a good point. They are turning into future doctors or on the subject. They're getting their PhD. But that's only in most cases. You can have a TA who's not getting a PhD. You can have a TA who's just a master's student. They do it all the time. Like, you don't have to be getting your PhD in this subject. Or you can have a first-year PhD student being a TA. And when you're going to a university and you're supposed to be learning the master from masters, it's important. And just because it's a first year or a second year class doesn't mean that it gives the school leeway to be more willy-nilly on who's your professor. That's not fair, because those are the fundamental classes that you need. Usually the calculus is one of the most important maths that you need. It's not the final math that you take. It's usually around the first 1 or 2 math classes. So when you have a TA teaching your fundamental classes that you will need, it turns into a problem. So yeah,
forced to pay $800 for this sociology class or human studies class and I'm getting taught by a TA with 800 people in a lecture hall this big, that there's something I think wrong with that. I think because you're paying a pretty penny for something that is then very, I would say, inadequate.
That's facts. Like, if you're paying, and here's the thing, if you do have a TA teaching the class, whether it be a professor shortage, okay, but give your students a discount. Don't make them pay full price for this class, because they're not getting the full experience. If it was a super tenured professor, they're not. And I get it, you're at the same school, but it's not the same thing. It's like when you go to a barber shop, you want the barber who's been cutting hair for the past 20 years. You don't want the barber who's fresh out of barber school. I don't care how good they are, because one is more experienced. When you're getting work done at your house, you want the guy who's been painting walls since you was a baby. You don't want the guy who just started painting walls last month. I don't care how good he is. It's the same thing. The more wisdom you have, the more experience you have, the more valuable you become. It's just what it is. But if you have any suggestions for me, comment down below. It's LFR Jojo, and I'll see y'all next time.